Good afternoon to the adjudicators and debaters. Before we start our debate today, this is a gentle reminder. Please mute your microphone when you are not presenting. Thank you. Welcome to Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Dr. Abdul Rahman Arshad Challenge Trophy English Language Debate Competition Kedah State Level 2022. The motion for today is, this House believes that the use of drones should be regulated. So acting as the government team for this debate is the team from Kota Star, with Ms. Stephanie Chi Huaja as the first speaker, Mr. Trishan Singh, son of Jasminder, as the second speaker, and Ms. Priyanka Bernardine Cameron as the third speaker. And the reply speech will be delivered by Ms. Stephanie Chi Huaja. While acting as the opposition team for this debate is the team from Kuala Mudayan, with Mr. Alif Ahmad Razi as the first speaker, Ms. Amber Lee Jia Chuan as the second speaker, and Mr. Yuga Varga, son of S.C. Sanggaran, as the third speaker. And the reply speech will be delivered by Ms. Amber Lee Jia Chuan. There are 3 adjudicators who will adjudicate this competition. They are Madam Sabjit Kaur as the Chief Judge, and she will be assisted by Madam Nurul Fazlina binti Badrul Zaman, and last but not least, Madam Nur Hashimah binti Yusuf. I would like to read out some of the rules of this debate. For the substantive speech, each debater is given 8 minutes to deliver your speech. The timekeeper will ring the bell once after the first minute to show that the points of information POI can be delivered. The timekeeper will then ring the bell once again at the end of 7 minutes to show that the time for POI is over. At the end of 8 minutes, the bell will be rung twice to indicate that the time allocated is over. A maximum time of 3 minutes will be given to both teams to prepare for the reply speech. The timekeeper will ring the bell once to show the start of the preparation time, and the bell will be rung twice after 3 minutes to show that the time to prepare for the reply speech has ended. For reply speech, the timekeeper will ring the bell once at the 3rd minute to signal that the debater has 1 minute left. At the end of the 4th minute, the bell will be rung twice to signal the end of the debates. Now, we shall begin our debate today. To open the case from the government team, please welcome the first speaker of the government team, Ms. Stephanie Chi Huijia. Please welcome.
A very good day to the honorable judges, accurate timekeeper, well-respected side opposition, and fellow members of the floor. The motion set forth today is the House believes that the use of drones should be regulated. I will now move on to definitions. That government would like to define the motion in a more detailed manner. all our definitions are taken from the Oxford Dictionary. We define use as to do something with an object. Drones are electronic devices that fly for several uses. Should means used to indicate what is right or ought to be done. Regulated means controlled or supervised by means of rules. Now, let me present to you our platform for today's debate. Today, we, the government, am in support of the regulation of drones. This, ladies and gentlemen, is to ensure and provide safety for our society. We as the government are not trying to enforce any new laws or change the current regulation that is in place onto our society today. The government, ladies and gentlemen, are here today to open your eyes to the harms of unregulated drone use. The humiliation that comes from the invasion of privacy, the destruction of reputation, is set a position turning a blind eye to the already increasing number of victims that have suffered enough due to the irregulation of drone use. Children, the children of your favorite celebrities, no matter who they are, a child should always be protected. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that most misuse of drones are brought from illegal and shady users. The majority have no license or understand of the importance of laws that have been imposed. These laws must stand to protect members of our society, our future generations, and our world. Can you imagine every move is under surveillance? No, thank you. Where your children are being stalked by complete strangers? We, the government, hope this is not the future members the House want. It certainly isn't a bright future ahead. And with that, I proudly present to you SAT government's parameter for today's motion. We, the SAT government, are not trying to introduce any new laws. The current laws must stand. We also acknowledge the beneficial use of drones. However, we believe that the use of drones need to be controlled and regulated to sustain those safe drones. No, thank you. And we are very, very against the misuse and excessive use of said drones. Now, I would like to present to you our burden of proof for today's motion. We, as the government, must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety of society from unregulated use of drones. Allow me to present SAT government's very first point, the misuse of drones. We all know there are many types of drones that are being used in our current society, mostly licensed, of course. The most used drone in our society is definitely camera drones. We, while acknowledging the benefits camera drones are bringing to our society, the misuse of camera drones should not be neglected, and we hope that is what SAT opposition is keeping in mind. The invasion of privacy, and as mentioned in our platform, is one of the most harmful, detrimental, life-threatening effect that the misuse of unlicensed drones could bring. Celebrities, socialites, children, our lives are being threatened by the misuse of camera drones. What exactly is happening in our beautiful world right now? Illegal CCTVs, cameras, and literally every supervising options are being used to stalk on people, to invade people's privacy. What would happen if the use of unlicensed and illegal drones take place? You are merely giving criminals and messed up people another option. Is this what SAT opposition is supporting? Imagine yourself having the time of your life in a hotel room. Bam! You see something flying across the window of your room. You're panicking and figuring out what to do. And suddenly, the object that you saw is nowhere in sight anymore. Scary, isn't it? This was what happened to Gigi Hadid's daughter, Kai. And this happened when the usage of drones is already being regulated. What do you think will happen when you support the unregulated use of unlicensed drones? And that is apparently what SAT opposition is supporting and standing by. Yes, sir.
You said that you're not trying to impose any more new regulations on drone flying. Therefore, are you indirectly agreeing that imposing new regulation does more harm than good?
No, we are not stating that. While your side is disagreeing that the current laws that are being imposed is useless, whereas it is actually protecting the safety and well-being of our society. Now, allow me to continue my speech. Even worse, government organizations, non-government organizations are being put at risk. Our society is being put at risk. Confidential information will be spread if regulations are being neglected. Why is said opposition not prioritizing the well-being and safety of literally everyone in our society? Prohibited areas like Area 51, the White House, private military bases, allocations that are being tightly supervised, and that includes the regulation and legal use of drones. If these
POI,
regulations
ma'am.
and laws were to be removed or reduced, like what opposition would have wanted, drones will be used as spies, and leakage of information will take place literally everywhere around the world. Yes, sir.
If you regard using regulation as something really nice, then why not impose new regulation? Why are you denying the fact that you don't want to impose new regulation if you feel it is such a good thing to do?
Sir, I would love it if you actually interpret the motion. What we are doing now is that we are standing by the regulations and laws that have already been implemented, while your side are disagreeing that these laws are of any use to the society. You are disagreeing that regulations are actually helping the society, and you are supporting the unregulated use of drones. Let me make this very clear for the members of the floor. What exactly is the difference between unregulated use of drones and regulated use of drones? Unregulated use of drones means people are allowed to do whatever they want, license or not, for whatever purpose, whatever motive. Literally everything is allowed. While regulated use means drones are being used in a regulated, legal way to maximize the benefits, to actually use it in a good way, to protect the safety and the well-being of everyone in the society. And thus, to wrap my case up, us said government would love to share that our burden of proof still stands after my speech. We, as the said government, must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety of society from unregulated use of drones. And with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Tiffany. Now we shall wait for the judges. Then, to start the case from the opposition team, please welcome the first speaker of the opposition team, Mr. Alif Ahmad Razi.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to the adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, honorable judges, the government team, and members of the House. We have heard our motion for today's debate. However, allow me to repeat the motion one more time. This House believes that the use of drones should be regulated. As for the definition of the motion, we, the opposition team, agree with the definition put forth by the government team. With that in mind, the roles of the opposition team is simple. I, as the first speaker, will be rebutting some of the points made by the government team and present one point of my own. Our second speaker will rebut some of the points presented by the government team and present two of our own points to further support our case today. Our third speaker will rebut all the arguments put forth by the government team and affirm why our arguments should stay. For our team stand is that regulating the use of drones will only bring more harm than good. Before I begin, allow me to rebut some of the points made by the Prime Minister of the government team. The Prime Minister stated that they wish to regulate the drones for the safety of the people. However, crime still happens despite the existence of regulation. How can you argue that by regulating drones, there's a full guarantee that people will stop committing crimes using drones? There is no guarantee that by putting and enforcing regulations, the use of drones for criminal acts will stop. In fact, criminals will try to outsmart the
Your
regulations
answer.
and find new ways to find loopholes in the regulation. Yes, accepted.
So, sir, you're implying that by reducing regulations, the criminal acts will actually decrease?
I'm not implying that it will decrease. I'm implying that enforcing the regulations on drones will not help in reducing the criminal acts of drones. And you mentioned that drones can be used to invade the privacy of others. Rather than regulating drones, you should enforce regulations on privacy, the breach of privacy, and not drones. It is the fault of the people for invading privacies. You shouldn't be biased and say that it is drones that is at fault for the breach of privacies. You as the government should instead teach the people how to use drones in a safe and civil way. Now, moving on. Allow me to present my point, which is putting regulations on drones will only complicate the process of usage for the majority of users who use it for good use. As we all know, laws and regulation exist in every country, yet crime still happens every day. And crime rates even increase in some countries despite the enforcement of regulations. For example, guns have regulation, yet that hasn't stopped the mass killings and mass shooting that has happened every so often. In fact, the enforcement of regulation will only cause criminals to try and outsmart the laws put forth by the government. Most crime doers don't even care about the repercussions of the laws. Criminals know that they're going to jail or maybe even die
Your answer.
after their irreversible actions. Yet that hasn't stopped them from doing what they did. Yes.
Are you trying to say that just because even when laws exist, there are still crimes that are going on right now, we should not even have laws at all in the first place?
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that for crimes, regulations does not. If regulations cannot stop, if regulations cannot stop crime for something like mass killings, then why are you trying to enforce something on drones, which in most cases are not harmful to the people of the country? Allow me to continue. The majority of people who uses drones are people who use it for good use. The small minority of people who wishes to use it for criminal acts will barely be affected. Not to mention, they can find other ways to commit their acts. As you stated, people use drones to breach privacy of others. And if you enforce regulation on drones, how will that stop people from breaching privacy? They will only find other ways to breach privacy of others, such as hacking CCTVs, for example. Now, let me ask, how is this benefiting the people of the country? With regulations, it will complicate it for people who use it for good use. In a case in 2012, a mall in India was hijacked by terrorists. A drone prodigy from inside the mall used a drone as a signal to let the authorities know about the situation inside the mall. The usage of drones has already been proven to be beneficial to the country. For example, using them for weather forecasts, the farming industry,
answer.
and even the advertisement industry. Yes, please.
Let me ask you one question. Was the usage you were referring to legal or illegal? Was it licensed or unlicensed? Was it regulated or unregulated?
It is of course regulated. By enforcing more regulations, it will only complicate it. And for people who use it for competitive use or simply as a hobby, it will complicate them to use it. You are enforcing rules to prevent people from committing crime. But how many people actually use drones for committing crime? It is a small minority of people. The majority of people who will be affected by the regulation are people who only want to use it for good use. Allow me to continue. Rejected. By enforcing regulation on drones, this will only hinder and complicate the usage of drones for the development of our country. Instead of enforcing rules, the government team should instead find ways to level up the usage of drones, such as making drones as an extra curricular activity in school, to expose and teach our upcoming generation as they are going through the fourth core revolution, which involves AI and technology. The government should also build an academy to teach the usage of drones in a safe way and exploit the benefits of drone usage for the future of our country that constantly goes through technological advancements.
Sure,
Once
sir.
again, rejected. Once again, our team stand is that regulating the use of drones will only bring more harm than good. As I have mentioned, enforcing regulation will only complicate the process of usage of drones for the majority of users who use it for good. I will once
Sure,
again
sir.
reiterate that we, as the rejected, I will once again reiterate that we, the opposition team, strongly oppose the motion. This House believes that the use of drones should be regulated. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Alif Ahmad Razi. Okay, judges. To continue our debate today, I would like to invite the second speaker of the government team, Mr. Trishan Singh, son of Jasminder. Please welcome.
Okay, sorry. A very good morning, I wish, to the honorable judges, the accurate timekeepers, sorry, no, a very good morning to the honorable judges, accurate timekeepers, well-respected side opposition, my fellow teammates, and fellow members of the floor who are watching this right now. Now, I, as the second speaker of side government, would like to go through a few rebuttals which we have seen by the presentation made by the first speaker of side opposition. Now, all the POIs that were answered by side opposition first speaker was just basically agreeing to the fact that the regulated usage of drones is beneficial to society. They have yet to prove why non-regulated use of drones to society is more beneficial than how it would be if they were regulated in the first place. They have yet to prove this. Now, they have all the examples given by side opposition so far have basically just agreed that regulated use of these drones is beneficial in the first place. And doesn't this just mean that they agree with us in the first place? Doesn't this mean that we already win this motion just by what the first speaker of side opposition has mentioned up till now? Now, moving on to our points for today, which is...
POI, sir.
I accept.
My first speaker mentioned that regulating only complicates the process of usage for people who want to use it in a better way. So how does complicating the process for people in a good way is agreeing with you? How do you justify that he has agreed with you when his point is totally contradicting with yours?
How have you proven that is going to complicate the process for people in the first place? You have not proven this yet. You have just mentioned it, but yet you are yet to give us a proper elaboration on how this proves your case. Now, moving on to our second point for today, which is that reduction of regulations will lead to illegal buying. We are all aware that if you want a drone, you must buy it through a legal and certified dealer. But ladies and gentlemen, there are already mass illegal buyings happening due to the irregulations of drone usage. Now, side opposition is trying to reduce the regulations. What good would this do to our society? The harms of the misuse of drones are too risky, too detrimental to even take the risk. This is what my first speaker has already harped so long about. So it should be well understood by the judges and fellow side opposition why regulated use of drone is of utmost vitality in the first place, utmost importance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are even illegal drone competitions going around in the world. Yes. Now, mostly in these illegal drone competitions, which side opposition has mentioned, where they do, well, legal drone competitions. However, there are also illegal drone competitions that are going on out there. Now, these drones are drones which are modified, and some of these modifications are not safe and licensed at all by the producers in the first place. Now, so many accidents have already occurred due to this, and if these drones that are not licensed just get
KMY.
out to the public, I completely decline. Just get out to the public, and if we are exposing these drones which are not even certified or licensed by any governing body in the first place, how are we supposed to guarantee the safety of the people in the first place who, as side opposition say, want to use it for fun? If these drones were to be certified and licensed, they know that it's safe in the first place. So thus, their safety is guaranteed. Now, these regulation laws only have our best interest at heart. Furthermore, as I said, these drones are not even licensed, and thus the invasion of this machinery is dangerous. We must protect our society. I decline. Now, moving on to the third point. Which is that the regulated use of these drones which are licensed can benefit society. Now, the regulation of these drones, of course, as mentioned in our point, can bring benefit to society. But how is it that these drones can bring benefit to society? By being licensed and by being regulated in the first place. You see, the regulations in place that require licenses for drones will lead to many developments in society which can be trusted by the people. Now, one of these examples, due to the smart designs of these drones, which can handle plentiful of weight in the first place, can benefit society by easing delivery services. Now, nowadays, delivery couriers are being stressed out to the point where they have to go up multiple floors and deliver such heavy packages each time in order to get their shift done, in order to deliver these packages to the people. Now, with this, delivery services can be greatly improved by using drones to deliver packages in residential places such as condominiums and etc. Yes?
You are talking about the regulation for the business industry where illegal buying and illegal selling is occurring. When we are talking, the motion today is talking about illegal usage. Why aren't you being relevant to the motion? Please be relevant to the motion, sir.
Now, if there was illegal usage, illegal usage happens because there's no licensing in the first place. Now, we are talking about if it were to be expanded, if the licensed drone usage were to be expanded in the first place, how it could benefit society in the first place. Now, by using drones in delivering packages to people that are on very difficult heights to reach alone, carrying all these packages around, right? This will greatly reduce the time and the effort needed to deliver these packages. And not only that, this also improves the quality of work for these workers. Think of the workers as well, and think what these drones can do. These drones can handle a lot of weight, and because of the design of these drones can easily carry heavy packages, not that heavy, but heavy enough to be able to deliver them to the people that need them. So not only this, these drones are also used as a form of security. For securing an entire perimeter of a large complex, human effort will have loopholes in surveillance, including security cameras, which often have blind spots, which is why a lot of robberies still occur nowadays. Now, these drones can be flown high into the air, looking about for possible intruders and cover blind spots which exist within most security systems that exist in the world right now. Thus, these drones with regulated usage and licenses can be used to benefit society as a whole, which is why we completely support the burden of proof which has been provided by my first speaker today, which is we as the government must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety of society from unregulated use of drones. And with that, I end my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trishan. The debate will continue with the speech from the second speaker of the opposition team. Please welcome Ms. Amber Lee Jia Xuan.
Thank you, Speaker of the House. A very good morning to everyone. I would like to allow me to restate today's motion, which is this House believes that the use of drones should be regulated, and we as the opposition team would go against today's motion, saying that such regulations does more harm than good. Before I continue with my points, allow me to dive into the arguments given by the Prime Minister of the government team and the second speaker of the government team. The first speaker has stated that it's because of the safety of the users, the unregulated usage, which would be detrimental to the safety of the users. But you have to know that the crimes being done in regulated usage of drones are the minority, and the minority ones are the troublemakers. With laws now and with regulated usage, like what you said, it is already implemented. You also said that having regulated usage of drones already lead to problems. So with or without, it's the problem of the minority, and they would still go against it even if you have no regulated usage at all. So why are you as a government keep pinpointing about this instead of implementing solutions or teaching them or raising awareness?
KMY,
Isn't this
madam?
what you as a government should do? Yes, accepted.
Haven't we been going on about if you were to remove the regulations in the first place, then wouldn't the crime rate just increase? You have yet to prove that it won't increase in the first place, and that is our major concern. Thank you.
I already said that without the regulated usage of drones, you should be the one to implement, and you should be the one to train to raise awareness or pinpoint troublemakers, which will then give in trust, because trust is a two-way communication. The government has to trust that the society wouldn't do this, and the society would have to trust the government back.
You're right, ma'am.
Rejected, and then this would lead to no crime rates or less crime rates in regulated usage. Because if you put restrictions on it, it will be limiting opportunities, which I would be explaining in my second point. So with or without regulations, like what I'm saying, it will also be, it wouldn't change anything. So you as a government, you should be implementing solutions to curb that problem. Rejected, please. Regulation, you also said that regulations on privacy, teach them. But again, it's supposed you as a government are supposed to teach them the correct ways to use drone, rather than putting regulations on the general drones itself, where people will be restricted with opportunities and those who want to use it for good use. Now, the second speaker has been talking about illegal buying and selling, but you're not saying about the illegal usage of drones. You're saying the benefits of drones being delivery services, but why is this related to the motion today? Why should you regulate drones of usage? You're talking about the benefits. I don't see
You're right, ma'am.
related to it. Rejected first. And you also said that it covers blind spots, which is the same. Like I said, you're talking about the benefits of drones. So allow me, now moving on to my second point for today's debate, which is that when rules are implemented, it causes restriction, too much restriction on those with normal users. Restrictions on normal users to use drone as a tool for their projects, cinematic movie industries, or their creativity. Because they are using tools, they are going to use these drones to explore. Because if you put a restriction on it, they would need an age limit, they would come with a license. So how would they be able to go through so many requirements? Or what if those who don't need the age limit requirements of using their drones, this would be expressing, yes, accepted?
Just because you personally think that this is too much work, you're willing to risk the safety of the society itself?
I'm not saying that it's too much work. I'm saying that there are few talents who doesn't meet the requirements, and the safety, like I said, the safety of the society could be done and could be solved by you as a government teaching them on how the correct ways to use drones or raising awareness instead of babbling on the effects of unregulated usage. You should be the government, you should implement something. So by limiting the people who has the ability to be creative and the development of the country. Number two, you're putting restriction to stress relief as well. Hobbies, even flying drones itself, can be a temporary leave to see the world for some people. So they would find, if you put a restriction, they would find more ways to release stress, which is a bigger problem because they would find another way to fly it. They will start to go against the laws. And another thing is you're putting restriction on paralyzed people, those with mental disabilities to see the world. They would have the inability to explore places. And another thing is you're putting restriction on technology itself. Rejected, let me finish my point. It's the 21st century, and you cannot restrict what's becoming a norm. So you're taking away the freedom and rights to explore technology for kids because they're stopping them with the age limit of usage of drones. So the government is going to restrict whatever benefits because of the mere harm. So we doesn't necessarily need drones to do all of this. Yes, let me finish my point. But it's also a way. The government cannot deny that. Why is drones created in the first place? It's to explore the world for humanity to strive. So just because of fear, are we going to restrict their ability to explore? You can say that you're not going to stop fully. We're just trying to eliminate the possibility of harm. But the only problem that in regulated usage of drones are accidents, and accidents are everywhere. So my second point would be the competitive world. We should not have regulations on these kinds of opportunities. Let me finish. So when the government meddles in, they are overcomplicating a simple issue. Like you said, the government right now, there are worldwide drone racing competitions and drone competitions organized in other countries. So it restricts the possibility of other people and other talents to join because of those rules. So if you put regulations, if you put rules in, it's also curbing the regulations. It's also curbing the development of the drone section in our country. Example, sports. Yes, accepted.
As you said that it's something that already happens in the world today, as we have already stated in our burden of proof, we are upholding these laws. So it's already here today. Are you saying that we should ignore them?
I'm not saying we should ignore that. I'm saying you as a government should take the initiative to help and solve the problem instead of implementing another law and restricting the opportunities that drones could give to society. Because an example, sports, there is no serious regulations in sports. So that's why we're performing so well in sports. Because in badminton, due to the freedom, we're doing so well because there will be the possibilities of talents. Let me finish my point. So the use of drones are not detrimental itself. Again, I will emphasize that the use of drones are not detrimental itself. But the people who are against it, even with restrictions, they would still find ways to go against it. So the problem here is not the regulated usage or unregulated usage of drones. But the problem here is that the government should teach and raise awareness to the society so that whatever detrimental effects that you have given will not come up again. So just because of this few minority, you are going to implement a rule to restrict other opportunities for other people. Is that how the government would take things? So there are always pros and cons to anything. As I said, according to our team stand, these regulations in drones would bring more harm than good. Because even with restrictions, the usage of drone can be absolutely capable of being good if the government, like I said, will be teaching them to expand their horizons. So as a conclusion, this House believes that the use of drones should be regulated, and we as the opposition team would go against today's motion because such regulations does more harm than good. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Amber. Ladies and gentlemen, and honorable adjudicators, let's hear from the third speaker of the government team, Ms. Priyanka Bernardine Cameron. Please welcome.
Okay, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yep, clearly.
All right. A very good morning to the Honorable Madam Speaker, the trusted judges, our respectful opponents, and the members of the floor. I, as the third speaker of the government, would like to first begin with restating our burden of proof for today, as it seems that the opposition did not properly hear what we have said. We, as the government, must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety of society from unregulated use of drones. As several speakers from the opposition have stated, you said that we should implement new laws, but our burden of proof for today is already mentioning that there's already laws for today. There's already rules for today where we are stating that there's things that we cannot pass with these drones. Yet you want us to fix this problem, yet this problem can already be fixed with the laws of today. And what we are trying to do today is to uphold them. First off, before I enter my rebuttals, I would like to first talk about the POIs made by several speakers from the opposition. One of the POIs made by the third speaker was, why not introduce new regulations if our laws of today is already good? Like I said just now, our burden of proof has stated that we are upholding these laws. If you tell us to add new regulations, isn't that complicating things? We are telling you that we do not want to add anything more. These laws that we have today is good enough. Yet you are stating that we are trying to complicate it. Yes, accept it.
We are not saying that you should implement new rules. We are just saying that with the rules you are implementing now, it's already showing how it cannot help things. So you as a government should take the initiative to solve these problems instead.
Okay,
Please
thank
justify
you.
your answer.
All right, I would like to state something. You yourself have stated that we as the government should start putting out new rules and steps that we should do. Yes, that is true. But these rules that we have today, how is it helping you as the opposition? You are supposed, in your side, you are against our motion for today, right? So you are trying to say that these restrictions should be reduced. So are you telling us that you are contradicting your own words at this point? Because you are telling us that we should add more laws, yet at the same time we should stop restricting people so much. I would also like to state something said by the first speaker from the opposition. You have mentioned that we should fault the people for the misuse of drones. Yes, of course the drones can't make decisions for themselves, but how can you guarantee that people will use it well even after raising awareness and all these things? How can you guarantee the assurity that they will use these drones well after just merely
POI.
telling them? Yes, accept it.
I've already stated in my point that the government should take initiative by building drone academies to teach people how to use drones for good usage.
And how is that supposed to help them? How can you guarantee that the people, as you stated, the minority of people who might be using for crimes, how do you think that they are actually going to listen to that? Also, about the minorities, you, as the second speaker had mentioned, it is only the majority which uses these things for good creativity. Yes, using drones for creativity is great, but do you think of nothing for the minority? Are you saying that we should just ignore the fact that crimes go on, invading privacy, as my first and second speaker have went on and on? These things are being invaded, privacy, all these things are being invaded, and are you telling me that we should just ignore the minority because the majority has the creativity? And you also, as you stated, the second speaker had stated, just because some who want to be creative, are you saying that we're going to ignore all the things that we can avoid if we uphold these laws? If you as the opposition are against our motion for today, you are telling us that we must state new rules or something like that. But honestly, as the opposition, you are also saying that you want to reduce these regulations, isn't it? You are not controlling their regulations anymore. That means reducing it. So you want to reduce the regulations, and you also want us to add new rules and teach people how. Isn't that
POI,
itself
ma'am.
things? Let me finish. Also, at one of the last parts that the second speaker had mentioned, I must say there is nothing wrong with being creative. But if their so-called creativity is going against laws and invading privacy, how are we supposed to let that happen? How are we supposed to allow that? You see, you are saying that it is good, you mustn't restrict creativity. Yes, if the creativity is following laws, then yes, we shall let them use their creativity. But if their creativity includes invading privacy and going into, like my first speaker had mentioned, the White House, Area 51, all of these are things that are not supposed to be invaded. Yet if their creativity involves this, how are we supposed to let them do that? Yes, your POI earlier.
If you think that I do not understand why are you saying that we are talking about implementing new laws. All we are talking about is awareness. Please understand the difference between awareness and regulating. Creating awareness and making regulation are totally two different things on two different ends.
So I would like to mention that you yourself, as the not specifically you, but your speakers from your side, have mentioned that we should implement new things to control these things. But at the same time, you want us to reduce the regulations. How can we believe you when you yourself are contradicting your own words? And I believe that there were several points, POIs made by the third speaker, where you said that complicating the process is even worse. So we should reduce these regulations. We have already stated that we aren't providing new laws. So are you saying that we shouldn't follow the current laws that are today because it is complicating things? Are you saying that we should take away the invading privacy, all of these things? Should we take it away just because it's complicating someone's creativity? Also, my second speaker had mentioned, or a POI that you asked him, was that he wasn't following the motion about illegal use. So you yourself state that it is illegal use, yes? So explain why you don't want to have regulations when you yourself state
POI.
that it's illegal. Let me finish. If you yourself know that these things are illegal, yet you want to reduce these regulations for someone's creativity. Wonderful if they have creativity, but if their creativity goes against people's privacy and goes against laws, I'm sorry, but as the government, we cannot support that. So now, as I come to the end of my speech, I would like to re-strengthen the several points made by my speakers today. The first was the misuse of the drones. And like I said today, we are not trying to add any new laws. We are trying to just uphold the things that we already have today. And I believe that if you listen to the burden of proof one last time, maybe for once you will actually listen to what we are trying to support today. We as the government must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety of society from unregulated use of drones. I've come to the end of my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and honorable adjudicators, this is the third speaker of the opposition team, Mr. Yogavarga, son of Sanggaran.
A very good afternoon to the honorable judges, well-composed moderator, accurate timekeeper, my team, and not forgotten, the oppositions. My role as a third speaker on the floor today is to be rebutting all points put forward by the government team. Before rebutting the points that was put forward by the government team, I would like to clarify something where we did not utter anything that says we should implement new regulation. Well, the question asked was, if the government is supporting regulation so much, why do they remain with their stand that they do not want to impose new regulation? This is contradicting. If you feel regulations are so great, then why don't you implement more? If you feel it's so great, implement more. But you yourself are saying you don't want to implement more, which indirectly proves you yourself have no confidence in what regulation can do to people. This proves that the government has got no confidence in what they have to say. Next, stating what the first speaker from the government side had come up with is, the first speaker had come up with a point called privacy. To be short and sweet, it is the breaching of privacy, spying, and which is very dangerous to the society, she says. Well, privacy is something that can be breached in many manners. For an example, computer hacking is breaching privacy. Hacking a CCTV is breaching privacy. Therefore, if you would just want to be biased towards drone, which is just used as a mean, which is used as the minority, which is used by the minority as a mean to breach privacy, and you want to be biased towards drone, this is totally a discriminative act by the government.
POI, please.
Yes, accepted.
Our motion for today is talking about drones. So why would we bring in any other devices? Of course, there are things that invade privacy, but we are talking about drones for today. So that's why we are talking about it.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example that there are many ways privacies can be breached, but you are just accusing drones as one way, as you are depicting drones as the one and only way privacy can be breached. This is not a very nice thing to do. Next, She was talking about stalking and how drones is used to be flying into people's land and spying into their hotel rooms and stuff. So actually, what we have to do here is, dear government, we have to solve the problem from the root. For an example, if someone is not decent enough to be breaching someone's privacy, the problem is with the person. If you take the drone out of the picture, he or she would try to do it in some other way. For an example, if you remove drones, he would use a computer to hack the privacy of others. So what I'm telling here is you have to find the root cause, which is the people and not the drones. Yes, please.
So you're agreeing that we should give them an extra option to prick from?
No, I'm not agreeing that you should give them an extra option. I'm giving you a humble suggestion that you actually educate your people on the importance of looking after people's privacy and not breaching them. Therefore, just depicting drone as one way to be breaching people's privacy is totally irrelevant. Next, talking about what the second speaker had put forward is the illegal competition, illegal buying, delivery, and all these kind of things. Well, sir, you said you want to uphold the laws that you already have. The laws of today state that you can't fly drones in residential areas. So without flying drones into residential areas, how would you do delivery? You have said that you want to do delivery with drones. When the rules of today said drones are not allowed to be flown into residential areas, then how do you want to do delivery? Therefore, it is very clear that here that you yourself have proven that regulation of drone does more harm than good because it stops this kind of process. Delivery. How is delivery possible if restrictions are being made? That is the one and only reason we are telling you that this regulation should be removed, as once it is removed, these kind of acts are made possible. People can do delivery through drones, people can go for competitions, people can do cinematic video, people can make movies with drones. Therefore, if your regulation of today is implied, these kind of acts are suppressed and emerging talents will be suppressed. Sorry, rejected, I've already accepted too. Now, the second speaker had also mentioned about illegal competition and illegal buying. Well, illegal competition and illegal buying is totally irrelevant to the motion today, because illegal competition is the act of people who compete without license. Well, the motion of today is talking about the usage of drones, not the competing of drones. Therefore, the competition of drones is the illegal competition of drones is clearly the inability of the government to enforce their law. Well, if your laws are so great that you can enforce them, why is these things keep on happening? If you can enforce your law and you ask us to prove that the enforcement of regulation can actually help with reducing crime, well, you yourself have proved, the government have proved that enforcing law actually doesn't reduce crime, it increases crime. Here, this is because despite imposing regulations, the second speaker has already mentioned about the illegal stuff that are still going on. Therefore, it is very clear here that despite imposing regulations, the crime cannot be curbed. Therefore,
sir.
Imposing regulations on the usage of drone is totally irrelevant. Yes, please.
But if we don't impose these regulations in the first place, they'll just increase the rate that these illegal buyings go on. Yes.
So that is just your assumption on what it could do. Well, our debate today is not on what your assumption or my assumption. Our debate today is on facts and statistics. Well, again, you are coming back to illegal buying. Sir, I have to remind you that our topic today is not illegal buying or illegal competing. Our topic today is illegal usage of drones. Why can't the government understand that? Sorry, sir, rejected. Why can't the government understand the fact that we are debating on the illegal usage of drones or the usage of drones that should be regulated? If the illegal usage of drones is becoming a big hot issue, then it could be brought to the debate. But instead, the government is bringing irrelevant issues to the debate today. For an example, the second speaker is talking again and again about the illegal buying and the illegal competition. Well, sir, for your information, illegal buying and illegal competition has got nothing to do with the regulation on drones. Regulation on drones only implies on where to fly and how to fly. That are the only regulations that can be implied on drones. Therefore, implying regulations on competition and buying is a totally different topic. It is a topic that is not relevant to the debate today.
PY, please.
Sorry, rejected. Next, the third speaker has placed a few words in our mouth that we have asked her to impose more regulation. Well, the only question I asked was, if you feel these regulations are actually very beneficial or somewhat very good for the society, why don't you impose more? Why are you staying with your stand that you don't want to impose more regulation? Well, if you don't want to impose more regulation, again and again, you are reaffirming us that you yourself are not confident with what regulation can do to you. Therefore, it is very clear here that the government has failed to prove to us how regulation helps us actually. So before I rest my case, I would like to reinstate all points put forward by my side. Number one, we said that imposing regulation can actually complicate the process of people who want to emerge in the competitive world. Number two, this is a restriction for people who use drone flying as a form of escapism. A form of escapism is something very nice in today's complicated world. Next, we talked about how competitions worldwide is happening and how talents from our country can go there to compete. Therefore, these are the three arguments put forward by my team, and I'm very convinced that this is actually very good points to support why regulation should not be imposed on drones. Before I rest my case, I would like to clarify our stand as the opposition that we do not agree to today's motion that this House believes that the usage of drones should be regulated because such regulation does more harm than good. That's all for today. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yuga Varga. We have heard the arguments from both teams, and now the debaters are given 3 minutes to prepare their reply speech. Now, to wrap up our debate today, here is the reply speech from the opposition team, which will be delivered by Miss Amber Lee Jia Xuan.
Members of the House, welcome for the last time from today's proponent. It is now my pleasure to summarize this debate. Allow me to restate today's motion, which is this House believes that the use of drones should be regulated. However, we as the opposition team is going against today's motion by saying such regulations does more harm than good. Now, let me state their points, which is privacy used for delivering and illegal use of drones, while we are saying that it helps with a competitive world, and also it restricts it completely again. So the government has failed to show us why these regulations should be made or how drones are being misused, because they are talking about all those other facts, and then they are saying that crimes are still happening. So this means, what does this mean? This means that even with regulations, their regulations are useless. It has already failed to make a better, I don't know, like what you have said, but then the regulations are useless. So instead of curbing the problem and instead of finding the root cause, they are doing a temporary solve, which is not really a good idea. We are showing how crucial our case line is, because it's been very clear of how restriction could lead to further revolution and how drones and technology has become a need in children's lives. We are the 21st century, and it's impossible to remove nor restrict something that has already become a norm for most millennials. The government themselves want us to be tech savvy in this technological era as well. So do we have to reject every opportunity of nurture and exposure by restricting them, which could help them in the future by restricting them because of a mild disadvantage, like I said, because of fear? Ladies and gentlemen, the government is so scared of the detrimental effects that are only restricting by it's only happening because of their restricting by throwing in the law. Instead of, like what I said, they should be implementing solutions. They should be training them on how they can use drones in a better way, or they should pinpoint troublemakers. They should change the user's mindset instead of limiting the usage of drones, which could then restrict other talents that wants to use drones for a better use, which cannot get up to their requirements of the restriction. So the use of drones are not detrimental itself. Like we have said, my first, second, third, we have keep repeating that, but the people who are against it, even with restrictions, they would still find ways to go against it. So just because of these people, are we really going to restrict other opportunities for other people? Like I said, this problem could be solved if the government do their work, and give solutions instead of going the easy way out by blaming the usage of drones. There are always pros and cons to anything. Like I said, according to our team stand, these drones in regulations would bring more harm than good. Even without restriction, it could be absolutely capable of being good. We are living in a technology era. So they themselves have acknowledged the benefits and have acknowledged that even without regulated usage of drones or unregulated usage of drones, they are still implementing and encouraging drones to our country. So we also, one more thing I need to say is we did not say that you should implement new rules. So do not put words in our mouth. You should listen to us. My dear government, we are listening, but you aren't. So we are saying that with the current rules, there would still be crime, and the government is not doing anything about it. So this house believes that the use of drones should be regulated because such regulations does more harm than good. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Amber. And last but not least, here is the reply speech from the government team, which will be given by Ms. Tiffany Chi Hui Jia. Please welcome.
A very good day I wish to the honorable judges and fellow members of the floor. I, as the first speaker, will be delivering our reply speech for the government side. First off, let me start with stating the biggest clash of our debate today. State government is acknowledging the benefits of drones under the regulated and safe use of drones, while state opposition, on the other hand, cares more about a user's convenience and a tiny amount of isolated cases caused by the regulated use of drones instead of the impactful benefits. Next, I shall continue with stating all our arguments made by government side and strengthening our arguments. First of all, our first argument is the misuse of drones, invasion of privacy, the safety of our society, the well-being of the people is what side government is prioritizing. Second of all, reduction of regulation will lead to illegal buying. Drones are widely used in our current society in a ton of industries. Without licenses and regulations implemented, how is side opposition so confident that the crime rate that they themselves are very concerned about will not increase, that there's no risk at all? Third of all, regulated use of drones can benefit society. Said government's first speaker, yours truly, me, has clearly stated the benefits of regulated use of drones will maximize its benefits. Now, one of our main statements that we believe in is that we, as the side government, must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety and well-being of society from the unregulated use of drones. Now I shall point out the several flaws in the opposition side today as to show you that there were several things to be addressed. First of all, side opposition is prioritizing convenience and creativity of the users. My third speaker has completely countered their so-called argument by saying that if you want to ensure the benefits of drones are fully maximized, you have to regulate it, not completely disregarding it just to have less work. And of course, that includes creativity. Second of all, side opposition has also been contradicting themselves the entire time. 1 second, they could be mentioning how the regulated use is beneficial, and the next second, they would ask for solutions from side government. Let me make this clear. Said government stand by the laws. We agree with the regulations. We are satisfied with the results. Why are we supposed to give solutions? While said opposition themselves do not agree with the regulations. They have something else to say about it, whereas they are not giving solutions on the other hand. Said opposition stated all the benefits, and yet they disregarded their own points by saying the benefits of regulated use aren't relevant. As I come to the end of my reply speech, I would like to state our case for today for the final time. We, as the government, must uphold the laws of today to ensure the safety of society from unregulated use of drones. I would also love to remind our members of the floor that said opposition's third speaker has rejected a significant amount of POIs while introducing new arguments. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tiffany. Well, that's all for our debate today. We would like to thank the honorable adjudicators and debaters for your presence today. The results for the debate competition will be announced shortly. Please be patient. Are you guys ready? The winning team is from opposition side. And the best speaker goes to Miss Mr. Yuga Varga, son of Sangaran. Congratulations. With that, thank you.